Okay, it is Wednesday, December the 18th, 2024, and we've got one more week on dominions. We're on the frequencies of dominions, which is the 591. And I'm just going to pull up before I go into my main items, because we're doing part two on the supposed drones. Which is turning into really one of the biggest stories ever. And there's clearly a massive effort to cover the story up, completely cover it up with all the evidence of the world that they're from our commercial airline pilots, um, conversations being captured that they're seeing real UFOs above them in the 50,000 foot range and possibly even higher. And so what I think is really happening is this. Let me just show you something.
Well, Trump said he won't comment, so
No, there's a new statement this morning. I'm going to play it actually. This is kind of what I think is happening.
mm, too funny.
And we have proof
Is that
in
ISIS?
the math. Yeah, yeah, I had my AI create an ISIS in a small pod craft, right?
Mm.
And there, we have, in fact, let me, I think I showed this last week, but let me see here.
How do we know it's ISIS?
Well, no, we don't know that ISIS is personally among us, but we know that they're the tones. Okay, so let me go to the Fox News segment I have ready here. Here it is right here. So we go here. Just watch this statement. And you have to see in the end, this is a very short clip I'll play, but you have to understand that this is mocking the US Coast Guard and trying to say that the Coast Guards are delusional and that there weren't 50 drones following the US Coast Guard, that they were just planes taking off and landing in the airport in the far distance. I mean, you think Coast Guard um, operators don't know what a distant object is? This news report is the greatest insult to the intelligence of the people I've ever seen. Just tell me if you get audio here.
Yeah.
The government knows what is happening.
You hear the audio in that? Okay.
Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows.
And that says a lot. That was President-elect Trump weighing in on these mysterious
Yeah, but his
drones.
next statement was he wasn't going to say what it was. That just
Yeah, just watch the rest of this and we can.
Set for a briefing on the matter by intel agencies, and that is expected to happen just moments from now. Jennifer Griffin is live at the Pentagon. She's got more on this for us. Jennifer, what has the reaction been so far from the Pentagon?
Well, Sandra, the Pentagon says it has tracked these drone sightings and found that most, if not all, are benign. In a joint statement last night, DHS, FBI, the FAA, and DoD say the number of drones in the air are not new, adding there are more than 1 million drones lawfully registered with the FAA in the United States, and there are thousands of commercial, hobbyist, and law enforcement drones lawfully in the sky on any given day.
As you saw in the joint statement last night from 4 different federal agencies, our assessment to date, based on the information that we've seen, the people we've talked to, the tips we've corroborated, this is lawful, legal aviation activity, manned and unmanned, drones, civil aviation. We've seen nothing that leads us to a different conclusion.
Quote, we assess that the sightings to date include a combination of lawful commercial drones, hobbyist drones, and law enforcement drones, as well as manned fixed-wing aircraft, helicopters, and stars, mistakenly reported as drones. We have
Stars reportedly mistaken as drones.
not identified anything anomalous and do not assess the activity to date to present a national security or public safety risk over the civilian airspace in New Jersey or other states in the Northeast. That's from that letter from those 4 agencies last night. So far, there have been 5,000 alleged drone sightings reported to the FBI. The Pentagon says only about 100 are deemed credible enough to investigate. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio had to shut down its airspace for 4 hours on Saturday to.
So just imagine they had to shut down their airspace. Normal activity. They're saying this is all normal, and there is no increase number of drones in the sky. It's just everybody's imagination.
Investigate.
We had 5,000 sightings, right? So maybe 12 people see the same aircraft. That's 12 different sightings that we have to work through. It doesn't mean 12 different aircraft. There was a story a couple of days ago about a Coast Guard cutter seeing like 30 or 40 drones following it. We did the forensics on that. It turns out it was air traffic going into JFK International Airport and not.
Can you imagine that? He's saying the Coast Guard is so stupid that they don't know. Oh my God. Like, I don't think I've ever seen such blatant lying in all of my life. I mean, they probably just want it to go away. I remember like when the Phoenix Lights case happened, the Phoenix Lights UFOs. And here, I'll give you an example. There is a very famous case, April 2021 UFO case that was enormous. And this case right here was on a U.S. military base of a giant triangle seen and videotaped by U.S. military officers. Right here. Okay, you see this thing? This is real photographs on the 29 Palms base in California, April 20th, 2021. And you see the size of this thing. And back in 2021, and because it's a light, you see the lights over the base, today they would write this off as a drone sighting. Right. And the size of this thing is incredible. In fact, this photograph here, which was brightened, this is actually a nighttime shot right here. This was brightened, and you can see the structure in between and the fact that it's not just lights. There is a triangle that is at least, they say, 2 football fields in size. So that'd be 200 yards. Probably bigger than that. I mean, I have a lot of aviation experience because I was a skydiver and I had to know how to spot and how to see other aircraft in the area when you're jumping out, because of course you don't want to jump out and get hit by something. And I've also skydived from 30,000 feet at Davis Air Force. Actually, I trained at Edwards Air Force Base to get my license to be able to jump high altitude. So there you go. I mean, there's even footage of this right down here. And this footage is taken. This is a major case. It's amazing this one isn't publicized
With Microsoft
that much.
365, powered by GoDaddy. Need over
There you
video. Send messages.
It's real footage.
How to look at the fall. And nobody shoots in a 5-gun section.
Look at that.
It's moving. There you go.
And these are military guys talking in the background. And this is over a U.S. military base at 29 Palms. So you can see with that because it's an isolated incident case, and it's not a case where it's over a major populated area and it goes on for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I've created a timeline, and this timeline really makes it clear that the source is coming from space. Of course, we already heard last week the pilots talking in Oregon. What they're actually seeing out there is clearly not drones because of the performance characteristics and the sudden, it was coming in and going out and coming in and going out super fast. And, you know, a commercial airliner is going under Mach 1. So they tend to be traveling somewhere between 4 and 550 miles per hour. So they're not going to hit Mach 1, which is like about 780 miles an hour, because, you know, it creates huge instabilities and a sonic boom, of course. So this is what really happened. And if you look at the timeline, it becomes incredibly clear. So some of this stuff you'll remember that we've gone over, and some of it you won't because it's new. And you can see on August 30th, or it was the 31st, the NASA Boeing Starliner spacecraft receives the strange audio signal. Remember, this is in space. This is clearly not an Earth origin signal. And it represents the overtaking of a sound system on the Boeing spacecraft, which is called Starliner, which is, you know, owned and operated by NASA. And we spectrum analyzed the frequency, and the base tone of 432 hertz was there. The 591 was there. The 591 and the 432 were the strongest frequencies. All the other frequencies of the other planets were much weaker, but they're still in the signal. It's a very sophisticated audio signal, because if you were just hearing ordinary interference, which really doesn't sound like that at all, there's no such thing as audio interference that sounds anything like that, for one. I mean, it's interesting. You can do this test. My daughter took her cell phone and held it really close to speakers that are turned on, and you can hear this kind of radio staticky buzzing. That's what audio interference sounds like when you have a radio signal that is dense enough and it gets near a speaker, it starts to produce a buzzing sound like that. In fact, I get the same thing as when my staff is on over there. These speakers that are on right now, you'll hear a buzzing sound. September 21st is the experience I had where I heard the dial-like tone, which I measured at 216 hertz while sleeping. And as I was waking up, I was suddenly teleported to the dashboard of the inside of a spacecraft control panel. And so that experience fits in the timeline because it's actually showing me in a remote viewing experience, a real remote viewing experience, that there are craft in our vicinity. And I got to sit in the cockpit of one of those craft and look at their dashboard, just like you have the dashboard in your car. And just like, you know, I've actually taken flight lessons, and you see the dashboard in an airplane just has more instruments than the car has, because it has air pressure. You have to know your temperature outside, your wind speed, etc., wind directions. You have all these dials in your aircraft. So 216 hertz is 1 octave down from 432, which establishes as an A tone on a piano. I don't know where the tone is coming from, but I'm experiencing it. So October 18th, the NASA SDO gets bumped hard by something in space. I want you to see this video because I just somehow managed to archive this video. This is what actually happened. Are you seeing this, Shiroz, or no? Let's see. Or just I have to go to stop share because it doesn't sound like you're seeing that. And then you gotta this is what it looked like on October. You see how it did a full flip? That's a camera, okay, on the it's called SDO. Something hit it really hit it in space. Okay, so this is quite amazing because SDO, the Solar Dynamic Observatory, has been offline since the 26th of November. Its last image, you see, where is SDO? It's orbiting Earth at about 22,000 miles away, sending data to White Sands, New Mexico, where it then gets these images of our sun, which we rely on for solar weather all the time. The last image was on November 26th at 23:46 and 34 seconds universal time, which means it's the last hour, the last 14 minutes of the day. That's why they put the 27th. So this is really important because it's still offline. This has never happened. I mean, they made up some story about why it's offline, which of course is unreliable and doesn't make any sense because it's still offline on December 18th today. In fact, space weather, let me go to space weather just to show you. Space weather is no longer able to get their data from SDO. So they're using amateur astronomer photos of the sun because we've lost SDO. This is a big deal. And so you go back to my timeline and look at the date. Look at the date. Okay, we lose SDO October 18th. October 19th, satellite Intelsat 33 explodes for no apparent reason. October 19th, NASA reports suddenly all contact with Voyager 1 is lost 15 billion miles away. Okay, so we've been over that before, and that's the same day, and it was just in the very wee hours, like it was just minutes into the day on the 19th. So I'm at the end of the 18th, right? And this is again 1 day from when SDO gets bumped hard by something in space and causes it to do a 360, and it doesn't last very long after that because the date that it gets shut down is going to be in my timeline here. So this is when Jesus speaks to me audibly and tells me to do the calculations which lead to Christmas Day, the Ascension of the Mother Mary, and the Ascension Day of Jesus, which is documented here. That's 1 day away from the bumping of all of that. So SDO gets bumped, the satellite explodes, and NASA loses contact with Voyager 1 are all 1 day apart. And my experience, all 1 day apart. That's incredible. It's incredible. Because it doesn't merely suggest, because you have more than one coincidence, it means something happened in space. Now, November the 16th, which is a little less than a month later, Jimmy Blanchett transmits the recording of the Starliner tones to Mini-Moon 2024 PT5 while it is temporarily orbiting Earth. He transmits at 432 megahertz. Now remember back here, the Starliner tone, the core of the tone was 432 hertz. And our sun's radius is 432,000, I think 600 and something miles in radius. So that's telling us 432 also is a signal for our sun. Now, November 18th is the first drone sightings in New Jersey. Now, this is what's hilarious about the current news report is background normal drone operators are duly noted because people aren't going to start reporting that there's all these drones everywhere unless whatever is happening is way above background normal activity. And people's drones, meaning civilian drones, can't fly higher than 400 feet. And I double checked that in New Jersey, it's the same. And it's an automatic signal that shuts them down. And for the Fox News reporter to say hobbyists, first of all, no drone pilot, not amateur nor hobbyist, can fly anywhere near an airport. It's completely illegal. So you can't tell us that the drones that shut down, this is very important. Let me just show you why. The drones shut down the drones shut down
What do you mean?
airport,
Right.
and it's, oh my God, it's Dayton, Ohio. Dayton, Ohio. It's Wright-Patterson. Right here. Air Force Times. This isn't the Air Force Times. You have to see this. Okay, so this is why this is where we have clear evidence the Fox News report is a big lie. That's my dog. We've got snow out there. Okay, so why is this important? Why are there drones over a military base airport? And remember, he said that Trump said our military knows where these things are taking off from and landing because all drones are registered. When in the United States, when you're above 200 grams, your drone is registered, which means when it flies, there's a signal and they know who owns it. You cannot do this. You can't fly over anywhere near in Canada within 5 kilometers of an airport. You should see how far a 5 kilometer radius of an airport is. It's huge. That pretty much eliminates the ability to fly your drone over any city in Canada because the city is within 5 kilometers of the airport. You can't. Your drone will be disabled.
Right.
Now, why is Wright-Patterson Air Force Base so significant? Because that's where the Roswell crafts were taken after the crash at Roswell. They were taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. In fact, this base is where those craft are kept and the alien bodies were taken. So we've got drones over that base and they're saying these are hobbyists. It won't even happen. You cannot even get your drone anywhere near there. It automatically disables the drone. I know because I've tried it. My drone, which is in the drawer behind me, is just under the legal limit in size with a 5K camera in it, and it won't let me fly. I get this high off the ground, like 3 feet, and this warning signal comes in, overtakes my drone, and I can't even get it to come back down. I almost have to grab it. I lose all control of it. Why? I'm in violation. So this is what they're not telling people is you cannot possibly get your drone over a military base, let alone an ordinary airport. You can't. It won't let you.
Mhm.
So airspace shut down at Wright-Patterson, which is the key Air Force base in the case of Roswell, is a big story. Why are they there? These aren't drones. They're clearly not drones. So that's really important in understanding the timeline. That how easy it is to dismiss this because it's bothering people. And then to try and tell us that our US Coast Guard doesn't know the difference between a drone and airplanes landing at JFK in the background. I mean, do you know how far JFK is from the coast, period? And you're talking about US Coast Guards mistaking 50 drones on the tail of their ships at sea, and they're saying they were mistaken. They're just airplanes landing at JFK way, way inland. It's incredible. It's an incredible insult to people's intelligence. It just makes them look even stupider. So remember, November 16th, Jimmy Blanchett transmits the recording of Starliner, which he did for me, to the mini moon. And November 18th, 2 days later, it all starts. This is day one. Day two, November 19th, the loud tone overtakes my TV set watching the start of the movie The Signal on Netflix. Luckily, I have a frequency meter app in my phone, and I measure the frequency at 755.35 hertz. So I take an image of that frequency. November 25th, 2024, PT5 mini moon leaves Earth's orbit, which was with Earth since September 29th, approximately. See, the 19th to the 25th is only 6 days later. So most likely, the signal that came into my TV set has some connection to mini moon 2024 PT5. Why did it pick me? Well, it picked others, and you're going to see others. You're going to see an actual example of a radio station in Seattle getting completely overtaken. I've actually got the video of it and the audio.
Well, why
So,
do you? We still don't know.
well, why everybody in Seattle too, right? Because but you're going to see this station, and of course, why me becomes obvious because I know how to decode the numbers, and they're intelligent. They're picking me because I know what to do with the data. November 26th, NASA loses all contact with SDO. So you see this? November 25, mini moon leaves. The very next day, NASA loses contact with SDO, the Solar Dynamics Observatory. You see this?
Mhm.
It's 1 day later. You can't tell me that's just some passing coincidence. You got too many coincidences here. This is incredible. So remember, we started today with the Solar Dynamics Observatory video that shows it getting bumped by something in space that caused. See, here's the satellite, and it's got a fixed camera on the sun, sending data back to Earth. the camera does a full rotation, meaning something hit the satellite and caused it to spin, and then shortly thereafter, so what is the 18th of October to the 26th of November, right? Like that's about 3 weeks or more. We lose all contact. SDO is still down. 1 day after the mini moon leaves. There's no way that's a negative coincidence. That's impossible. That's impossible. And at the point of November 26th, the drones are being reported everywhere in the world. They're in the UK, they're in California, they're in Arizona. And that same day that we lost contact with SDO, Andrew Curry and his wife hear a strong audio tone overtake their TV set. They identify it as a middle A note around 432. He doesn't have a frequency meter, and believe me, you can't tell the difference between 432 and 441 audibly very well by memory, because what he does is we get Andrew and his wife to use a tone generator, and this was Andrew Curry is one of Richard Hoagland's co-researchers, who has appeared with Richard on his radio show as well as myself for a few years going now, on a lot of subjects. And this is a guy who is he's an artist, and he does storyboards for TV commercials and the film business. So he's got a lot of attention to detail, but he can't believe what's happened, because in your whole life of watching TV, I mean, these things just don't happen all the time. You don't get audio tones taking over your TV set all the time. So the two frequencies are 7 days apart. That's base 7. That means a lot, because there's a reason they're 7 days apart. And notice that whoever the ETs are, they picked me and they picked Andrew Curry, knowing that we knew each other. Now you have to understand, there's 2 million people on the lower mainland of Vancouver, British Columbia, and British Columbia is bigger than France and the United Kingdom combined. In fact, it's bigger than 3 United Kingdoms. This province is so huge. It's you could fit France and Italy in this province. So remember, the two tones are from two people who know each other. The odds of that are incredible. That's very intelligently driven. Why not give me the second tone, right? Because if it's just me, the chance of anyone believing it is going to be very low. They're going to be saying, you're just making this stuff up. Well, it's two different people who have only met on a radio program, have never physically met, and it's 7 days apart. I mean, this is incredibly intelligent. So the ratio, remember, ratio establishes a harmony. As soon as you have 2 or more frequencies, you have the potential for a harmony versus a disharmony. And the ratio of 755.35 to 432 is 1 to 1.748. Now, we don't know if what Andrew heard was exactly 432, but he believes it's around there. Notice our sun's radius being 432,450 miles signifies a sun. And the ratio of our sun's radius to Sirius A is 1 to 1.7, right? In 1 decimal, 13, that of Sirius A. what I know about calculating ratios of our sun to stars is no two stars will be the same. No two stars will express the same ratio. In fact, let me just show you. In fact, the tone of 755.35 divided by 1.713 for Sirius A is 440.95. Is near the concert pitch standard of middle A, which is 440. 440 is middle A standard. The Boston Philharmonic Orchestra uses a pitch of 441. You see that?
Yeah.
Which means my frequency divided by Sirius produces the Boston Philharmonic's exact middle A. That's incredible. It's incredible. In fact, what I should really do is find out what the New Jersey Philharmonic uses, because Boston, of course, is right next door. Boston is in Massachusetts, which is East Coast. Now, it's funny that concert pitch, middle A, is what establishes the tuning of a whole orchestra. So you don't establish the tuning of the orchestra and anywhere except for middle A, which means it's the middle of where the note A on the piano or the violin or this, or the cello, or all instruments tone middle A at that frequency, and therefore all the other frequencies have to move over in accordance to that. So look how incredible that is. Because if you go back to me hearing Jesus's voice, what does he do? He tells me to take October 19th minus a middle A note of 432. Right?
Right.
So October 19th plus 432 days gave me December 25th. October 19th minus 432 days gave me August 14th, which is within one day of the Ascension of the Mother Mary, celebrated every year in the Catholic Church. In fact, the Ascension of the Mother Mary is a big deal for Catholics because when her ascension actually occurred, and this is in an extra biblical manuscript that's not in the canonized Bible, allegedly all the apostles, whether they had already been killed or not, were teleported to her side at the moment of her death, and they all saw her being taken up into the heavens, which is an incredible, incredible event. It puts as much importance on her ascension as Jesus is. And again, Jesus told me to take October 19th plus the orbital period of Venus, which took me to June 1st, which is the Ascension Day of Jesus in 2025. Notice that I started with a middle A note numerical value to do all this. And then he had me do all the other calculations, which we've already gone over in the inner circle, because when I subtracted the 139.51, I got June 1st as well, which is the Ascension Day of Jesus. It's really, really incredible. But in the previous year. So when we come back to where we are now, that the ratio is 1 to 1.713 to 441. I guarantee you 432. So let's do this, because I should have. Oh no, remember, we couldn't get my frequency generator to work. Here, let me just see if I pull up my tone generator. 441. Can you hear that?
Yeah. No, I can't hear it.
You didn't hear a tone.
No.
It's really weird that it won't go through my microphone, because my microphone,
Hearing
let me
sound.
see if, let me see if I can put it through my Yeti microphone. Here, let me try that.
Are you
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
No.
You didn't hear that.
Are you sharing sound?
Okay, stop share. Share audio toolbox. Share sound. Okay, let me try this. Did you hear that? No?
No.
Yeah, there's something wrong with this. So anyway, the difference, this is really important because Andrew Curry probably wanted his tone to be exactly at 432. But the difference between 432 and 441 is so tiny that by memory, I mean, I'm not saying, even if he heard 432, let's say he heard 432, it's still the accuracy to Series A is still extremely high. It's in the high 90s because the way you calculate a ratio, see, if I take 432 to 755.35 and 440.95, which is, Boston Philharmonic concert pitch, the difference is tiny. It's tiny. So that means that the two tones establishing the ratio between the two stars. Let me just go to share. Okay, I'm going to pull this up again. I just like this stuff to be in the record for the Sirius star. I just want you to show you when you're looking up a star, and you can do this to any star. It's all on Wikipedia. Your ratio is here. So this is Sirius A and B. Here you go. Radius. You see this right here? 1.713 plus or minus 0.009. So that means the 3 could become, the 1 could change into a 2, and the 3, etc., has to be adjusted if your plus or minus 9 here shifts. So the accuracy here is really to 1 decimal, 1.7. That's where it's 100% accurate, is 1 to 1.7. It's not 100% accurate in the second decimal, but the second decimal would be within 90% accurate, and the third decimal, so on. So that means the ratio of the tones is well established. In fact, I can do this for any star, right? So let me just give you an example. Let's go to Pleiades. Now let's go to Vega. Vega, star. Vega. Okay, let's do the same thing with Vega because I just want you to see the Vega. Okay, so here's Vega, which is in Lyra. It's my daughter's name. Radius, you see? 2.726. So what that means is our sun's radius to Vega's radius is 1 to 2.726. You see, they're never the same. They're never the same. In fact, let me do another one. Let's do let's do Mintaka. Mintaka. There we go. This is in Orion. These are huge stars. Okay, so let's go to Mintaka, one of the three belt stars in Orion. It's the one on the far right. So Mintaka is this upper one in the top corner for Orion. I'm gonna go back here. And then I'm clicking stop share. I don't want to do that. There we go. What I want to do is click this. Go back to the radius. So you come down to radius. And there's several of them here because there are Mintaka is a multiple star system. Mintaka alone. There's more than one star in there. 1,200 light years from the sun. So probably you can pick any of them. When you get to the radius section, this one is 1 to 12.045, right? This one is 1 to 0.77, which means it's smaller than our sun, right? This one is 1 to 4168. Do you see the reason I'm showing you this is you're seeing that they're proprietary. That ratio only exists in Earth to Sirius A that we're getting in the two tones. It doesn't exist anywhere else. And that means there's no mistake. Like, let's say I just got some abject, completely meaningless ratio in the two tones, and the two tones were not a harmony. They were not anything significant at all. I would say probably random noise. That's the point where you go to probably random noise. But no, that's not what's going on here. And look at the timing. The timing is the same day NASA loses contact with the SDO, Andrew Curry hears the tone overtake his TV set with his wife. Do you see what's going on? And now, here is the radio station in Seattle getting jammed by frequency. So I have to go to this stop share because this is going to hyperlink. You're going to hear this. I mean, this is real proof. Now let's just hope I get the audio to work here. What's going on here? What happened to my audio? Okay. That's so weird. I'm not getting here. Let me just go to the link. This is the link. And wait a second. Stop share. I didn't go to share sound. Yeah, I've got share sound on. Okay, tell me if you can hear this. Can you hear anything? Sharose?
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Nope, can't hear it.
Okay, so this radio station
Well, you're
is
not playing it either. It's not, you haven't clicked the play.
well, no, I clicked the play. You just I can't hear it for some reason now either. I don't know what's let me do a refresh. Because I heard it for 1 second and then all of a sudden I didn't hear it. So let me do a refresh. Can you hear that?
No.
Why is it when I play on my system, you don't hear anything? Okay, now we go to here, share sound. Tell me if you hear it now.
Yeah.
Okay, you do hear that. Okay, so let me play this. This happened at 1:06. This was on the 7th of December. So what you're hearing is the normal audio in the background. You can hear a little bit of voice activity, which was probably the station, but it's being overtaken by a signal. And I measured its frequency, and I'll show you what I got. I measured it with a meter. There's quite a few frequencies in there, but the one that repeats the most is the one I used. And here it is. And this is really interesting. Okay. This frequency of 1806.99 was the most prevalent. But there's two more frequencies I have to grab out of it. And if you see here on the right in my email, if I divide 1806.99 by an octave, which is dividing by two times, I'm at 451,745. So let me show you. 451,705 was the concert pitch for middle A in Milan at the La Scala, when the A pitch was as high as 451. Also, Beethoven's middle A pitch was 455.4, by the way. So I'm only 2 octaves above that. So that establishes that this is an A note. That's what it establishes. It's just 2 octaves higher than middle A at 451. Right. So we're still in the range of where different orchestras will use middle A. Now, when I come down one more note, I'm at 225.873. The orbital period of Venus is 225. So there you go. That's incredible. And then I come down another octave, I'm at 112.93, which is pretty much 113. And another octave, I'm at 56.46. Note that there are 56 Aubrey holes at Stonehenge. And the 56 corresponds to 4 cycles of planet 139.5 to 140. So this, and then I divide it by 2 again, I'm at 14.11 divided by 2, I'm at 7.05. That's base 7. So remember, Andrew's tone and my tone are 7 days apart, which is establishing a base 7. In fact, all of my coils are base 7. And the orbital period of Sirius B around Sirius A is base 7 because it's 49 point something days. So it's base 7 because 49 is 7 times 7. Right. So you can see that this is a base 7 number, 7.05, and it builds all the way to the frequency that you're seeing here, which is proof that this frequency is an A note. And that really just concludes it. That whatever's going on out there, the cover up is so huge, and you're going to see this in the coming days, that unless these craft, and yes, there are drones up there. There are military drones doing surveillance on these things, and we even have footage. We had footage this week of one of our drones going up to meet one of these supposed drones, and it gets shot down and falls to the sky. We've got footage this week of our drones firing what looks like multiple. You see all these multiple flashes, which are probably munitions being lit up in the night sky, rounds being fired at it, because rounds coming out of a gun can travel anywhere from 500 miles an hour to 1,500 miles an hour. And at a distance, if you're a distance away from a munition going that fast, you will absolutely see it. But you can't see a bullet in front of you, but you can see it at a great distance. If you had a light tracer on a bullet, just like you can look up in the sky, and when a plane's going 500 miles an hour, it's really slow. Think about it. So if you're going twice that fast at a distance, oh yeah, you will see something going 1,000 miles an hour at a distance. Absolutely. So we've got our military drones shooting at these things. We've got our military drones getting shot down by these things. So we have military drones, then we have real UFOs. And it doesn't look like any of our military drones are performing very well. Remember, the airspace at Dayton, Ohio was shut down, and we couldn't do anything about them. Our military could not do anything about them. They couldn't go up there and just shoot them down. So they seem to have a defense capability that we don't have. God, I wish I had that video for you of, let me just go on my Facebook and see if I can find, if I posted that one. I have some really good. I mean, let me just show you some of the things on my Facebook that people are posting of the drones. I mean, this guy here is taking photographs, and these things don't look anything like drones. That one doesn't seem to blow up, but these things don't look anything like drones. Let's see here. You can see this one seen over Washington, D.C. Seems to be in a triangular formation. And then you come down. This one here shows a saucer-like thing being transported in New Jersey on the back of a truck. This is what people see when they zoom in on them. Look at the geometry in this thing. It kind of reminds me, Annette, of some of the things you're getting.
Yes, it's very similar.
Yeah, and your date was right in alignment. You had an incident where you had a similar date. Look at this huge swarm of drones here. And here's one on the 14th. Oh yeah, this is the one that gets shot down right here. So take a look at this. Watch it.
Whoa, is that moving quick? That could be a drone.
That's our drone on the left. The orange thing on the right is clearly one of them. Watch what happens to it.
Right now. Whatever that green flashing one is, he moved quick around it to get it. Super quick.
Gonna get shot down. And it's coming right on it. Look, it goes right on it. The green one goes right on it. And then, boom.
Ooh, that whatever it was just shut down the drone, if that was a drone.
See that? Oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh yeah, nothing going on here. Just people playing with their drones. Look at this one here. I mean, the shape of this thing looks like something out of Star Wars. This one right here. Look at this thing.
I've been seeing them at like 4 in the morning.
Have you?
Like twice.
That's very. I mean, that is the exact sound I heard the other morning.
That one's incredible. These ones, remember when the UFOs appeared over the nation's capital, that was also, I've got to date that. So again, here's more drones appearing over the nation's capital. That's completely illegal. No civilian or hobbyist would ever get away with this. And they're just letting it happen because they can't do anything about it. And they're saying it's normal activity. No, you can't do that. And this is my favorite one right here. I love this one. Look at this one.
Oh, I've never seen nothing like that. Not in my lifetime. Wow. Oh, I've never seen nothing like that. Not in my lifetime. Wow. Oh, I've never seen nothing like that. Not in my lifetime.
I mean, that is clearly a Taurus psychedelic light craft, it looks like. There's no way that's a drone. There's just no way. Look at this thing. Captured on Ring camera in New Jersey.
What's a ring camera?
It looks like you can see it looks like it's something Ring camera. Yeah, doorbell ring camera. It's a doorbell camera. You know, on your front porch.
They can't be that powerful.
Oh, sure they are. Today's door cams, because you want to see who's at the front door.
It doesn't need to be that powerful, does it?
Look at these cameras. These are good cameras. $150 night vision, color and night vision.
Right.
This one. We don't know which model they use, but that was one spectacular UFO. I mean, there's no way that thing is a freaking drone.
Right.
So I mean, people just got to wake up. We saw all the events that I took you through today that showed it all started with anomalies in space with the Starliner tones at the last day of August, and then moving forward, every date had a coincidence. So, and the tones on the radio station in Seattle, that would have been experienced by at least 100,000 people listening to that radio station at that time of day.
Right.
In the Seattle area. In fact, the reason I found it is because Andrew Curry told me he heard that this tone overtook everybody's radios in the state of Washington.
Right.
Because that station would go far beyond the radius of downtown Seattle. It would go for probably over 100 miles, way over 100 miles in all directions. So I mean, you're talking a minimum of 100,000 people listening to that station and having heard that. So that's important because people could write off what happened to me as an anomaly and what happened to, I mean, people can write off everything. It's just when your mind is open and you're attuned to frequency and you're attuned, you notice things that are out of the ordinary. You just do. Like what's happening to Annette and what she's getting on her cameras. She's aware, so she knows there's something going on and she's being visited.
Right.
It can be, I mean, part of me when I was going to sleep last night thought, if I kept all this inside of me including me hearing Jesus's voice and giving me the dates, I would say that the message is just for me, and nobody has to believe me. But the math proves it. Like, there's no way those calculations would produce Christmas, the Virgin Mary's Ascension, and Jesus's Ascension Day. I mean, that, I don't think anybody in the history of the world has ever taken October 19th and done calculations like that. I don't think it's ever happened in the history of the world. And yet we live in a world where everything can be belittled if the person witnessing the experience just wants to keep a closed mind. When a person wants their mind closed because they don't want to believe anything, it will remain closed. In fact, there can be UFOs right above the White House, which there were last week, because they just call them drones, right? So if this was, that one case I gave you, April 20th, 2021, believe it or not, is a date for Easter on the lunar calendar. Now, it wasn't Easter that year, but it is an Easter date because we're not on the lunar calendar. So again, when you look at dates on the lunar calendar crossing over to solar calendar, you're going to get a different date on this sine wave that keeps repeating within the Easter window every year. So the fact that that triangle I showed you over 29 Palms Air Force Base is an Easter date, April 20th, that's also remarkable. That means a lot. It starts to tell us that the timing of these events is not random and accident. So anyway, we're continuing another week on the Dominion frequencies, and they're in the queue. And then after that, we go to the next one and the next one. So have a great week, everybody. Thank you all for being here. See you next time. Now, it never made sense to me. How could the speed of light be exactly 186,282 miles per second? Instead of point something miles, it ends at the 2. Right. 186,282 instead of 182 point something.
So, Crystal, how did you know that?
I just knew instinctually. When you work from your center a lot, you just have feelings about or knowings, not even feelings. Yeah. It was just a knowing that it was off and it wasn't precise enough. And sure enough, when he decodes things, he gets down to the exact decimal of everything.
I looked into the early Michelson-Morley experiments, which were done in Irvine, California, in this tunnel. Right. When they were trying to define the speed of light as an absolute measurement.